Welcome back, 8th graders. This is lesson 6 of module 7. This is the last lesson in the module. So this lesson is titled Apply Systems of Equations. And the I can statement says, I can write and solve a system of equations to solve a real world problem. So now all that you've been learning about systems, you're going to try to write your own, or they're going to help you step by step write your own system and then solve it. So let's look at number 1. They just go right to the step it out. There's no spark your learning or build understanding because by this point you have a lot of information. So this first one says there are 12 people in an adventure club going to an adventure park. An adult's pass is $55. Excuse me. A child's pass is $42. And they spend a total of $569. How many adults and how many children go to the park together? Go together to the park. So A says, what equation can you write to represent the number of adults A and the children C that are in the group? So if you look, they tell you that there are 12 people all together, and so what you need to do, then they also tell you that they want adults to be the variable A and children to be the variable C. So that'll help you write this equation here. You just use the variables to equal the 12 total. And then for B, they ask how much is an adult's pass. So again, you're going to use the information here. And how much is a child's pass? Again, from the information that they give you up top. And what was the total spent on day passes? So use all this information here to help you with B. Then you can write an equation here. What equation can you write to represent the total amount spent by the group? So you'll use what you know from here that you got from up here to help you write this equation. Excuse me. And then C, you can use the two equations that you have, this one here from A, and then the one that you write here in B, to create this system of equations. And then D, you're going to solve your system of equations by elimination. So remember back, that means eliminating one of the variables by adding the two systems or the two equations together. And you have to usually multiply one or both of the equations by a certain value, the whole equation, then you can eliminate a variable. And then so D, they want you to solve the system by elimination. E, and then you should have how many adults and how many children together go to the park. And then this question, turn and talk, they tell you to use elimination, but is there another way that you could solve the system of equations, and what might that be? So go ahead and pause the video there, then we can go on to number 2. Now let's look at number 2. Kaylee is holding an event at a ballroom with tables that seat 6 people and tables that seat 4 people. Kaylee orders a total of 12 tables for the 57 people coming to the event. How many tables of each kind should she order? So you know she orders 12 altogether, but they want to know how many that seat 6 and how many that seat 4. So then you just want to go through step by step. Let X represent the number of tables that seat 6 and Y represent the number of tables that seat 4. So that gives you information. How are you going to write this equation? You want to write an equation to represent the total number of tables, which they tell you is 12. And then they want you to write a second equation using this as kind of a model. Complete this equation that represents the seating capacity of the tables. So how many X tables and how many Y tables will you have for this equation here? C, these two equations comprise the system of equations that represent the problem. Begin solving the system of equations by first solving one equation for Y. So now they're going to have you do the substitution method that you've learned. And so you take this first equation that you wrote in A and you're going to solve for Y. Then you can go through this section step by step using y equals this wherever you see y. So you'll use this that you have here for y in the other equation. D, does the value for x make sense for this problem? So once you get this value, does that make sense for what they're talking about here in the problem itself, why or why not? And then they ask you to round the value for x up to the nearest whole number and use that value to solve for y here. And then they ask she should order how many tables that seat 6 and how many tables that seat 4. And then you can substitute those values when you get those into this equation and explain if she orders these tables, will she have enough seats for all 57 people, and explain your answer. Then I think doing the turn and talk is also good. If a value doesn't make sense for a solution to a problem, do you always round the value up? Here they tell you to do that, but would that always make sense in any problem? So go ahead and work on that, pause the video, and then we can go to the next page. All right, so now that you've finished numbers 1 and 2, here's number 3. Line A passes through the point 0, 1, and 2, 5, and then a second line, line B, passes through points 1, 1, and 4, 10. They want you to first plot the points for line A, these 2 points here, and then and draw a line through them. Then plot the points for line B and draw a line through those. And they want to know, do the lines intersect? And then use the graph to estimate the point of intersection. I'm guessing that kind of tells you the answer to C. And then E, how could you find the exact point of intersection? So in E, use what you know about slope and y-intercept and all those different things and the estimate you get to help you find the exact point of intersection. So that's the main part of the lesson. When you finish number 3, I would pause here, finish that, and then you can go on to the check understanding. Then you can go on to these on your own pages. You can see there are 3 on your own pages here. So work on those. Then if you feel comfortable after the on your own and you feel good about how things have gone in this lesson, this is optional. You don't have to do this homework, but I would do the test prep and spiral review. And then because this is the last lesson in the module, you should do the review. You don't have to do it the same day, but just do that whenever it's assigned so that you feel confident about the whole module, that you have the vocabulary that you need and the concepts and skills that you need to take the module test. So that's all for module 7 except for the test, and then we'll see you in module 8.